not a good sign when there's question marks for players 7 through 10.
I mean, I'm not counting. There's an 8 straight Pro Bowler for the Niners. I'm not counting. He doesn't make the list.
I was thinking Trayvon Diggs, but you're right. He coming off a major
he and
injury.
Hufanga. I didn't count either because they're coming off injuries.
What about the guy who was hurt running on the field in the Super Bowl?
I didn't count him either because he got hurt.
That's right.
So I didn't count Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga, both Pro Bowl level players. One absolutely a Pro Bowl. I didn't count either for San Francisco. So if they were healthy, you'd start wondering if Brock Purdy makes the top 10, and that's not a. Hargrave is a Pro Bowler, and I put him at 10.
You should do Eagles versus Cowboys, and then you really want to see why the Eagles seem like a lock to win that division. The Eagles have a lot of good players.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's get started with the Brandon Aiyuk stuff. So, obviously, he demanded a trade. Well, guess who called kicking the tires on Brandon Aiyuk?
They should.
The New England Patriots.
They should. This is a great fit to me. This is a great fit. You're not paying your quarterback for 4 years, and they're not paying Jacoby Brissett. This is the move, and they can't draft wide receivers. This is the move.
So the problem is the 49ers essentially hung up the phone on the page. I don't know if they hung up, but they said no, thank you. Thank you for inquiring, and hung up.
Who are you going to get if you give up a first-round pick? New England's need is wide receiver, so that's a need. It's not like they'd be giving up a first-round pick. They have their quarterback, right? So they don't have to worry about the first-round pick next year. They got the most valuable commodity. And they're not paying him. So who are you going to get in the first round next year in the draft? Because you're not drafting quarterback, and you need skill players. That's better than Brandon Aiyuk. I would give up a first-round pick today for it.
Okay, so we like to play this game. Who leaked this story?
The Niners.
Okay, why? Hey, that's our first offer.
To a crappy team that's not very good at quarterback.
Raise your offer, Indianapolis Colts. Raise your offer, whoever else is out there. We got the Patriots. They're interested. That, to me, is the first sign that, maybe the Niners would trade him. I thought there was zero chance they would trade him. But to put this out there, 2 days after the trade demand?
I still believe that Debo and McCaffrey are the pulse of Shanahan's offense, not Aiyuk. They're the cake. Aiyuk's the icing. It would be one thing if the quarterback was a great deep ball thrower. Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, Stafford. This is not a criticism of Brock. That's not what he is. His arm is closer to Garoppolo than it is Herbert or Josh Allen. And Aiyuk is a deep ball threat. New England has a massive need. I have no problem New England giving up a first-round pick now they've secured the quarterback. It makes a lot of sense to me. And remember, the Niners drafted 2 other receivers. If one hits, Jennings is very productive.
He's solid.
Okay. Kittle, Christian, Debo, 2 rookies. Not to mention, throughout camp, you could sign another, bottom, a Kendrick Bourne level guy.
I know you're out on Brock Purdy being a deep ball thrower, but per Pro Football Focus, on deep passes of 20 or more yards, Brock Purdy led the league with 12 touchdowns. The completion percentage wasn't great, 57%, but he can uncork the bomb. I mean, he doesn't have Trevor Lawrence's arm or Josh Allen. But deep ball throwing, he's not terrible. I'm going to defend my guy Brock Purdy.
That's 20-plus yards.
Yes. Not 60 yards down. Right. All right, next up, speaking of the Patriots, earlier this week we talked about Bill Belichick and his plans to continue coaching next season. Well,
Los Angeles, it's the Herd, wherever you may be, and however you may be listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. We'll check in on the USA Olympic basketball team. Some news on Bronny James. Bad news for one former NFL legend. Dallas Cowboys in a bit of a bind. I'm not sure they know it yet. Tomorrow's headlines today with J-Mac. We've had a really good week. A lot of good guests. A lot of interesting stuff. Eric Musselman was great in the last hour yesterday. College coach, former NBA coach. J-Mac. So, when Bill Belichick only really interviewed with the Atlanta Falcons, the take was, what? And Belichick's allies around the league all said, you got to be kidding me. Atlanta is the only team that considered him. But I saw something today which the rest of the league is seeing, and this could explain a little bit about the fear of hiring Belichick. So Bucky Brooks works for us. FoxSports.com did an article. It's a great article on the 10 best current rosters in the NFL. And the rosters are, and I pretty much agree, up and down, pretty close. Niners, Eagles, Chiefs, top 3. Lions, Texans, Ravens, Dolphins, Jets, Cowboys, Browns. We can argue back and forth. But the Houston Texans at number 5 is absolutely terrible for Bill Belichick. Because that franchise was a joke in the league. And then Nick Caserio, who was the director of personnel in New England, took the job three and a half years ago and has crushed the draft and crushed free agency. In 3 drafts, Houston now is a top 5 roster from a bottom 3 roster. Joke to playoff team in Houston. They just added a star edge, a star running back, and a star wide receiver in free agency. He has made almost no mistakes, Nick Caserio. He may have missed on an offensive lineman in 3 drafts. That's it. Yet New England's last 6 drafts, of which Caserio was in the building for a few of those, several of those, probably last 7 drafts, have all been putrid for New England. So either Nick Caserio suddenly got brilliant when he got on a plane and flew to Houston, or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of those drafts, because he was in New England for years, and the drafts kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse when Caserio was there. So either he got brilliant once he got on an airplane and flew to Houston, or Bill Belichick trumped all of his advice, would not listen, and took over the drafts, which I was told Bill was prone to do in mid-January, early February. I got it from here. Because New England's draft, and Caserio was part of many of those, were awful. Now he goes to Houston, and they're all great. I mean, there's an argument outside of maybe Green Bay. Who drafts better the last 3 years than Houston? Who's done a better job in free agency than Houston? And they had bad ownership. New England had great ownership. They had no momentum. New England had all the momentum in the world. This is an indictment on Belichick. He didn't get very few interviews because he can't coach. But as he is aged, stubborn, rigid, only wants to coach certain people, and he craves power. This is what a Popovich craves later years. A Belichick craves. A Tony La Russa craves. The older coaches, they've got the legacy. They've got a ring or 2 or 6. And they got the money. So if everybody's wondering, why can't Bill get the job? It's not about the teams. It's about Bill's unwillingness to work with others. Everybody knows he's a great coach. Best defensive coach of all time. That's not the question. So everybody's blaming the teams and the owners of the teams that pass on him. It's not about that. It's about Bill's potential unwillingness to just coach, and that is it. That list with Houston as a top 5 roster, and I don't doubt it, is an indictment on Belichick and nobody else. So this is funny. Bronny James has become the most popular betting pick for Rookie of the Year. Don't tell me the economy is bad. Clearly, there's a lot of money to burn in America. The last 7 NBA Rookies of the Year, none of them have spent a day in the G League. And Bronny right now is a G League player. So the Democrats should use this during the national convention. The Bronny Index. I'm Joe Biden. I approve this message. Look how good our economy is. People are betting on Bronny to win Rookie of the Year. Flights are packed. We all got big screens, and everybody's betting on Bronny. And an inconceivable award he has no chance to win. That's a strong economy. But it also really speaks to how absolutely dreadful this draft was. The number 2 pick, Alex Sarr from France, is 1 for 21 in his last 2 games with 2 points. He's the number 2 pick. 0 for 7 on threes. He's not a prospect. He's an IKEA manual. You open up the box. Is this from Sweden? Did they send me all the parts? He's below a prospect. He's been awful. And he's the number 2 pick. And this illustrates why I defended the Lakers and LeBron James and Clutch Sports. I mean, they had some leverage, did Clutch Sports. I'd be careful about using it every time I have it. But this is no big deal. This is not worth all the grifters on the internet and bad actors losing sleep. It's a bad draft. The players drafted above him are G Leaguers. The players drafted below him are G Leaguers. And the number 2 draft pick, Alex Sarr from France, has been absolutely offensively terrible. So, and for the record, Bronny actually and Dalton Connect, the other Laker rookie, both had a really good game yesterday. And Bronny